Welcome to the Mid Week Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, I want to talk about the lies we, as women, were told about aging. Lately, I found myself writing a lot about aging, and it's not because I'm afraid of getting older. I am 37. Every year on my birthday, I make sure to yell what age I'm turning so that I do my bit in dismantling this whole idea of like, on our birthdays, we hide our age because there's just so much shame about doing this natural thing that is a blessing. Some people don't even make it to age 10. It's a blessing. There's shame around it, and so we've got to hide it, right? And I feel like, especially now, that I'm very clear that the work I'm meant to do in this life of mine is to help specifically African women heal. One part of that, and it's a huge part, is to shed shame. And one huge part where we hold shame is in aging, how old we are, our obsession with looking younger than we are. And I think this shame sits on the foundation of what we were taught about birthdays, right? After a certain age, which is age 30, we were taught that every birthday after that is a reminder that we're becoming less. We're becoming less beautiful, less desirable, less valuable, less relevant. I'll give you a bit of a story that I shared on my Instagram because I have been writing about this particular topic. I was 30 years old as I was serving my notice after resigning from my job as a radio presenter and producer at one of Kenya's top media houses. At the time, I was the lead presenter on their breakfast show. We were the third most listened to show in the country. And so my birthday is February 5th. December 2018, I handed in my resignation, I think around Christmas week. And then I start serving my notice. And during serving my notice, which is in 2019 now, I'm having these almost weekly meetings with my CEO who didn't want me to leave. And I didn't want to be an employee. I even tried to pitch like, hey, I'm going to have this show. I didn't know the name, Legally Clueless. I didn't know there was going to be a network. I had just ordered 2 microphones from the States. That's all I knew, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be an employee, but this is how you can still have me still on air. But I also work from home, so I'm not going to be a bother to you. I'm going to produce this show and we can have a content agreement that this show flights on your station. So more like a syndication deal. And he was like, that's perfect. I agree to that. I even agree to cover all your production costs, only if you remain hosting my breakfast show. And in these conversations, at a point he says, he pitches to me, which shows he'd done his homework. He pitches to me ideas that have all my passion points, one being African women and just kind of like what we can do together for African women and African youth. And then he says, you've just turned 30. We internally have been thinking about how we're going to migrate you to our other station that's for a more older audience. I think he said this to try and like woo me into, they have been thinking about my career for a long time. You know what I mean? And there's going to be succession and stability, blah, blah, blah. But how it landed to me was just confusion, because the first thing I thought was, how can you guys be strategizing about my career without me in the room? Like, that's some crazy work, number one. But number two, my co-host at the time was over a decade older than me, a man, and no one was migrating him to, to an older station. You know what I mean? So this wasn't a black or white age thing. This was specific to my gender. Do you know what I mean? And I've always thought about that and thought about even just the cycles, because media is what I know, but I know this happens in other industries, just the cycles of how, particularly women employees, as they age, how the company treats them. And so I want to unpack some of the biggest lies that women have inherited about growing older. Number one, that your value has an expiry date. Just think about the messages that we've been surrounded by since we were young girls, right? She's in her prime. Don't let yourself go. 30 is when you should, hurry up. That you're running out of time. Your biological clock is ticking. Ugh, that one irks me. It's quite fascinating that so much of a woman's value has historically been tied to things that naturally change with time. Our youth changes with time, our beauty, our fertility. And they also think about our ability to be chosen specifically by men. There is a theory called the objectification theory, which explains that women are often socialized to see themselves through other people's eyes. Instead of simply existing in our bodies, we become observers of ourselves, right? And I think this is purely because of how we're socialized. As I said, our value has historically been tied to our youth, our beauty, our fertility, and our ability to be chosen by men. So we're often asking ourselves, do I still look attractive? Do I still look young enough? Because we've been told men like younger. Am I still desirable to men? And these are the questions that we are socialized to ask, yet we're not encouraged to ask as we age. Am I becoming wiser? Am I becoming freer? Am I becoming more of myself? And so why I say socialization is because society has always asked men to become more powerful. But for women, it's always asked women to remain young. Two distinctly different assignments. One allows you to grow, and the other is asking you to defy nature and stay frozen in time. Lie number two, the best years of your life are behind you. This is a very fascinating one because it often comes from people who haven't actually lived to be 60 or 70 or even 40, all right? I am so blessed to have friends in their 60s, in their 50s, in their 40s. When you speak to these women over and over again, the things I hear are, it's freeing because I finally know who I am. It's freeing because I stopped caring what everybody thought. Or my friendships became richer. Or I finally had the courage to leave. I finally found the love that I wanted. I finally started the business. We just finished filming the next season of For Mannerless Women that's starting on the 13th of August. One of the episodes features a woman who is employed for most of her life, and then at age 53, she finally started the business she always wanted to, and it is thriving. In just 3 years, it has footprints across East Africa. Started it when she was 53, And even when I was talking to her before we went in front of the camera, she was talking about how she finally felt comfortable in her own skin, in her own body. These are the things I'm hearing from 40, 50, 60-year-olds. So when we hear this lie that the best years of your life are behind you, I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't believe it. And even if let's sit on research, right? I always love anchoring the things I tell you on the Mid Week Tease on research. There's a lot of research that has gone into well-being, and it has consistently found that for many people, satisfaction with their life increases later in life. Psychologists even describe what is known as the U-shaped curve of happiness, where happiness often dips through the pressures of early adulthood and midlife before it starts rising again as people become less preoccupied with like external validation and more focused on living authentically. And that doesn't mean that as you get older, life becomes easier. I think what changes is that your relationship with yourself becomes kinder. Can you imagine that? And if you think about it that way, then the decades that we're taught to fear, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, may actually be the most liberating decades of your life. I'm 37, and I can tell you, I would never go back to my 20s. Oh, good heavens, no. And my 20s, I had a job before I cleared uni. I was hired into a radio presenter position when I was in my third year. And I've worked throughout. So I'm fortunate to say that my 20s weren't spent, tarmacking, battling unemployment, which very many young people now are battling. But even then, you could not get me to go back to my 20s. The internal confusion, the inability to hear my own voice, oh my God. Oh, good heavens, no. Like, I'm thinking about it now and I'm just like, please no. I'd rather you even fast forward me to 60s. I am not going back. And so that's the second lie. Lie number 3. By now, you should have figured life out. Oh my God. Last year, we had a mannerless movie night. And we had women from different age groups come and hang out. We watched my debut film and then we just kicked it. Honestly, we just kicked it afterwards. So we had women in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s. And I remember the ladies in their 20s were talking about how much pressure they feel as the age 30 is approaching to ensure they have the car, the job, and the house. And I remember we were seated there. So I was 36 at the time. My manager was 39. There's a lady in her, I think 2 ladies in their mid and late 40s. And we were all very shocked because I was like, oh my goodness. Number one, where is this pressure coming from? Because it's so irrational. And in present day, it's almost like self-sabotage. And that moment really stuck with me because I thought, this is very sad. You should not be, at any age, but more so in your 20s, be feeling this pressure to have these things that for very many 20-year-olds are almost unattainable in present day economic times, right? And so I think birthdays can feel very heavy because they come carrying these invisible deadlines. By 30, you should have. By 35, you should have. By 40, you should have, married, children, successful career, own a home, financially secure, healed, confident. Dude, and when your lives don't resemble that checklist, what happens is you convince yourself that you've failed. I think we need to remember that life isn't one long exam where you're marked late if you haven't ticked every box by a certain age. You are allowed to still be becoming. No one finishes becoming, right? And you've got to, and I think this is my cheat code, you have got to define success and the life that you want for yourself. If you leave it up to religion, if you leave it up to patriarchy, if you leave it up to capitalism, you will be broke and very unfulfilled. Because capitalism will tell you, you need more material things by this age for you to be successful. Guess who's winning in that situation? Not you. Patriarchy tells you, as a woman, by age da, you should be married. By age da, you should have kids. No wriggle room for you who doesn't want to get married, for you who doesn't want kids, or for you who finds a person that you feel this could be my life partner at age 45. No wriggle room. Religion, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Life is not one long exam or checklist. It's not. Lie number 4. Growing older means becoming invisible. This one is told to women so much, and it really hurts because there is some truth to it. Many women feel less visible as they age because the cultures we live in are obsessed with youth. And if we go a step further, it's not only that the culture is obsessed with youth, it's also that you're becoming invisible to people who only knew how to value your youth. You know what I mean? And there's some grief there. I've heard so many older women describe an unexpected freedom that came with getting older. You know, that there's less performing, less trying to fit into impossible beauty standards, less worrying about whether everybody approves, less exhausting yourself by trying to be chosen by every single man. And that probably is a gift of being less visible to the people who only know how to value your youth. Does that make sense? But to the women who awaken and age in a very alive way, what can happen is you become visible to yourself, that part. And for me, I would rather spend the second half of my life being seen by myself than constantly auditioning for everyone else. So there is truth that women become less visible as they age because the culture is obsessed with youth and because very many people within this culture, within the society, only know how to value your youth. There's truth in that. But my goodness, you have an opportunity to become visible to yourself. And that's where like the liberation happens. Lie number 5 should be number 5. You're running out of time. This one is so boring. It follows so many women around like a shadow. The clock, the deadline, the panic, the race. It's so boring. I think how we can flip this is to know that as you age, you become more aware that time is finite, you know? And something really remarkable can happen when you view life like that. I think you have an opportunity to become more intentional. You can start investing in relationships that nourish you. You can stop entertaining unnecessary drama. Oh my God, that one. You become clearer about what matters. I feel this one so clearly in my 30s. I wonder how my 40s is going to be, you know? You can also protect your peace. And it's not because you're giving up. No, I think you just become wiser about where your energy belongs. The more aware you are that time is finite, you know? And it's not about you having less time. It's about you just having less tolerance for wasting time. What a gift, right? What a gift. Just rewiring it that way. Line number 6, aging is something to fight. Oh my God. Okay, so let me explain. I don't normally wear a full beat of makeup, like face makeup. I have lashes. I love my lashes, not my natural ones. I love getting my lashes done. First, I love the experience of getting my lashes done. I get my lashes done by a lady called Ruth, and I'm always laughing and telling her how it must be so embarrassing doing my lashes because I go there and I sleep. I sleep until I snore. I snore. Like the snore is what wakes me up. It's just so relaxing. I can't explain it. And so sometimes I go get my lashes done and I'm like, oh, it feels like a massage. But I was talking about face beads. So I normally get a full face beads when I'm shooting, so different shows, etc. Obviously, I never used to have this problem before, but now as we do my face beads, I have smile lines, right? On either side of my lips, and I call them smile lines as well, a little under my eyes. And so I love how they look when they don't have makeup. And so even my makeup artist has had to learn that don't bake my face. I don't want too much powder. I'm not trying to hide those lines. I'm not trying to hide those lines. And for me, they are evidence of how much joy I have carried in 37 years. They are my smile lines. I laugh and I smile a lot, guys. And I'm so fortunate to have the capacity to carry joy, even with my face. Even with my face. And so when I look at those changes to my face, I'm not thinking, oh, dang, here comes that aging thing. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have really laughed. I have really laughed in this life. And, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with, going for whatever procedures you want to go for. I want you to have that agency as a woman. But you must always interrogate what your why is and really make sure that your why is coming from an unbiased, untainted, unpatriarchy informed part of you. Are you doing it because you are caring for yourself? It's this thing that you like? Or are you at war with yourself because you've been socialized for years to despise your body and to see your body as a project that is looking for validation from others, mainly men? And you've got to ask yourself those questions, because if every wrinkle feels like failure, if every, I don't know, gray hair feels like, oh, I've lost something, if every birthday feels like grief, then I think what needs healing in that situation is not your face. I think you need to spend more time unpacking the story that you've inherited about what a woman's face is supposed to mean, what it's meant to look like, and who it's meant to please. As for me, birthdays are just, dude, my birthday, as I said earlier, is February 5th. I love Christmas, but Boxing Day, I'm super happy because I'm like, hey, we're done. We're done with, with this other guy's birthday. It's my turn now. I just think it's wonderful. I don't think a birthday should be scary. Because guys, listen, if we listen to what society says about a woman's value as far as aging is concerned, they say that you are valuable between age 20 to 30. If a woman lives to be, let's say, 60, so we're saying in those 60 years, she's only been valuable for 10 of those years. What stupidity is that? What stupidity is that? And so I want to leave you with 3 questions. Question number 1. Who benefits from women believing their value has an expiry date? Question number 2. Who profits when a woman spends decades and millions trying to appear younger instead of simply becoming older? And the last question, who gains when her relationship with herself is replaced by her relationship to other people's approval? Can you imagine if little girls grew up hearing different stories? Hearing that your 40s might be when you discover your voice, that your 50s might be when you experience your greatest freedom, that reinvention has no expiry date. You can restart at any time, at any age. If they heard that your worth compounds with time, if they heard all of these things, how differently would women move through their lives? Think about that liberation, And actually, this conversation is exactly why we created For Mannerless Women Live. On the 26th of September, we're bringing together extraordinary mannerless women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s together. And we're not going to ask them how they've stayed young, but we're going to ask them who they've become, what they've had to unlearn, what freedom looks like, what they wish women in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s look like. Because I genuinely believe one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is expanding our imagination of what a woman's life can look like. And so we're going to have some women who've graced For Mannerless Women shows on stage, and we're going to walk through decades. So in the 30s decade, we're walking with Lydia KM from Kenya and Lolo from Nigeria. We have a surprise guest that I can't tell you about right now. Then we'll walk through our 40s decade with Bev Munga, aka the vibrating lawyer, super child-free, loves to travel. Her business is booming. She sells pleasure to women. And we're also going to walk through our 40s decade with Janet Mbugua from right here in Kenya, top media personality, one of my personal friends. And she is incredible, has a very balanced approach to motherhood, to becoming and redefining what womanhood looks like when you're rewriting it in your 40s. Then we're going to go to our 50s and beyond. We're going to hang out with Apundi Nyangaya. I love Apundi. Oh, I love Apundi. Apundi is in her 60s and she's so liberating in how she thinks. She's been a mannerless woman for decades. And I love it. Even, being in a very loving marriage, being a very intentional mother, and we've had even one of her daughters on the show. Apundi is just life. She's just life. And so she's going to be one of our speakers for our 50s decade. The other speaker for our 50s decades, well, it's the 50s and beyond decade, is Sally Sawe. And she's who I was telling you about earlier. 53, started her own business, and it is booming. It is booming. She is single and child-free and loving life. Guys, these women are going to help you expand your imagination on what womanhood can be and what it could look like for you. Now, if you'd love to join us, tickets are available for everyone. Our waitlist community bought 50% of our tickets already. Can you imagine that? So if I was you, I would grab my tickets ASAP. All the details are linked in the show notes. And it's going to be on the 26th of September from 12 noon. I hope to see you in that room of mannerless women. And we're not only going to be hearing from the speakers, we're also going to hear from you. The audience, you are going to be very much involved. So I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be moving. But thank you so much for listening to this episode to the very end. And if you resonated with it, share it with another woman that you love. Thanks for listening to the Mid Week Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.